Retro Heaven reviews Knight N Grail. So I'd just like to pick up on from the last video when I was talking about modern games on older formats such as Commodore 64, even the ZX Spectrum, even the Super Nintendo. They've all got homebrew games circulating around on the internet, and some of them are just they're phenomenal. Personally, I collect the Psytronik games from Psytronik.net. That's Binary Zone. They've been going since the early 90s, and when I got myself back into the Commodore 64, 10 years ago, I was stunned. I was absolutely amazed to find out there was such a big scene going on. It's not until you actually dig deep into the internet that you can find there's a lot of things going on for these old systems. I mean, I've collected probably around 40 diskette games for the Commodore 64 through Psytronik, but in addition to Psytronik, you've also got RGCD, which manufacture publish the games on cartridge format. Personally, I prefer the disc myself. I think it's through the the aspect of loading it just seems a little bit more nostalgic to me, and I enjoy loading the games rather than instant play you would get on a cartridge. So yeah, I'd say a few of my standout favourite games from the modern era would probably be a game called Knight N Grail, which is just a fantastic game. It sold to me again to my Commodore 64 when I bought it 10 years back or so. Then you've got other classics on there, like there's Rocket Smash, there's a game called Darkness, there's a puzzler game called Phase Off, which was a really cool game. And then a really good thing with Psytronik is that they managed to get in touch with the creators from the popular games Creatures, and they managed to republish Creatures 1 and 2. And there's another classic from back in the day called Armalite, which was a shooter game, and again Psytronik came along. They said, right, can we republish this? And they did it, and it's a fantastic game. And there's a couple of other titles, Soulless, which is a bit like a Metroid type platformer, which is really cool. I enjoy those games. And then there's a game called Guns N' Ghosts I've got in my collection. That's really good. But anyway, if you want to know more about Commodore 64, then head over to Psytronik. Just Google their name, it should be your first result. So in particular today, I do want to do a little talk about Knight N Grail. As I was saying, that was my favourite game, which saw me back to the Commodore 64 again. So let's take a look at that. So as you can see, Knight N Grail, it plays like an arcade adventure. You're controlling a brave knight, and your aim of the game is to find a magical grail that will then save your beloved one from a curse that has turned her into a dragon. Yes, a dragon. So in the game there's around 200 screens, and you find power-ups, you can find different types of armor to use, and the sprites, the animation which is gone into the game is just spot on. It's everything you'd want from a Commodore 64 game. That's why it's near my #1 favourite Commodore 64 game, because it's got a lot of substance to it. It's had a lot of thought go into it, and it's not just a normal boring old platform game, run the mill type game. So as you're battling through these screens, you come across a variety of different enemies, and each enemy shoots, and you can sometimes dodge it, and you can sometimes jump out of the way. When it hits you, it takes away some of your energy bar, which is another thing. I'd rather have an energy bar in a game rather than have, I don't know, 3 or 4 hearts like you would in most platform games. What else can I say about Knight N Grail? It's stunning. It's just stunning in every way, and if you've not played it and you're thinking about playing it, you can go over and download a preview at CSDB, or you can go to Psytronik and buy a hard copy of it on disc, and there wasn't a cartridge version of this game. It was just all on disc. Apparently, from what I've read, if you wanted to play it on cartridge, it would be impossible, because that the game would need to be recoded from scratch again for it to go onto a cartridge. So yeah, you can either purchase the physical copy on disc, or you can buy a digital download, which is probably around £2.99. So yeah, go for it. Definitely try it. If you're a fan of Castlevania or Metroid, or really any form of platform, then go for Knight N Grail without a doubt. You don't know what you're missing until you've tried it.